Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Storytime Society. I'm your host Jamie and I'm so happy you're here. I'm so glad you're alive. Thanks for tuning in. The theme of this episode is updates only. So let's get into it. The title of the first story is, am I the asshole for walking out on a double date my friend set up with him, his girlfriend, and a girl I had already rejected before? I feel like I need to say this for this post not to be removed. This is not about the date, about relationships, or something I want a judgment on me walking out of there. Cast includes me, 25 male, Joe, 26 male, and Jane, 24 female. To give you a little bit of background to this situation, I met Jane through Joe's girlfriend at her birthday party last year. At first, Jane was fun to talk to, but not even an hour later, Jane was really into me and tried really bad to hit on me during the party, which pretty much ruined my time there as the feeling was not mutual in the slightest bit. Also, at the time, I was already with someone, so the first impression I got from Jane was that she was clingy, annoying, and just wouldn't stop bothering me. Unfortunately for me, she became part of my larger friend group because she is part of Joe's girlfriend's friend group. That is a mouthful. Sheesh. And because me and Joe hang out a lot and I'm also friends with his girlfriend, I pretty much run into her at minimum twice a month. So the first time Jane asked me out was a month after that party. I informed her I was with someone and not interested. She tried again like 2 months later when I broke up with my then girlfriend, and again, I declined her advances and told her I was not interested. I got into a new relationship not long after, but unfortunately, she and I broke up about 2 months ago. Since then, as you might have anticipated, Jane has asked me out again, and I said no, again. Well, that brings us to this week. Everything has been opening up here, and Joe had been trying to fix me up with a friend of his girlfriend and would not tell me who. He is well aware of me having rejected Jane multiple times and the fact that I am not interested in her. He knows this in detail. After a lot of what he calls convincing and I call whining, I had no interest in dating anytime soon. I relented and decided to agree to this double date idea of his. We agree on meeting at Joe's apartment, and lo and behold, Joe, his girlfriend, and Jane are occupying the dinner table, obviously intending for my date to be Jane. I honestly just got so damn angry that I couldn't even get a single word out, turned around, and left. I've been bombarded with texts and calls about how much of a douche I am and how terribly I hurt Jane and so on, and I'm just like, I literally rejected her like 3 times. I am not interested in her. You knew that. Your girlfriend knew that. Our entire friend group has a running joke about obsessive Jane. For F's sake. So literally everyone knows it. So am I the asshole.
Storytime Society is now available on all listening platforms. If you are on any of those listening platforms, I would really appreciate it if you rated me 5 stars. Thanks for all the support.
Okay, well, I'm confused why you said you didn't want judgment when you're asking if you're the asshole. I mean, I personally don't think so. I think that your friends are the asshole because they just set Jane up for failure, knowing that he doesn't even want. And and also, sorry, Jane, but it's a little creepy at this point as well. I'm sorry. Like, I don't want to be mean because I get it. Like, you have a crush, but you can't relentlessly ask people out and then also force them to be on a date with you. Like, that's a little too far. I think move on. You know, I'm sure you're better than that. Go find someone that actually like vibes with you, because this guy is not it. And why would you want to be with him anyways? He's like, he's not interested at all. He is kind of being rude about it, if you ask me. But I get it. Honestly, if I was in his position, I would also be very like frustrated. Like, please, can you just understand that honestly, if I was in his position, I would probably make a bigger deal, to be honest. So I don't even blame him for being like frustrated about it and being super annoyed, because I would freak out, because at that point I'd be like, is this not harassment? Like, why are you harassing me? I had one guy like 3-ish years ago when I was single that would ask me out And like at first I was interested in him because he was a good looking guy. We had hung out once in like a group setting, but not like that was when I met him. So it wasn't like he didn't know that we didn't know either of us were interested until after. And then like he followed me and then we like texted just a little bit here and there. And then he got like super toxic randomly. And it was like so weird. Like it was very controlling and like obsessive behavior. And he texted me like 45 times. And mind you, I hadn't hung out with this guy one-on-one. I had hung out with him. I had met him in a group setting and then hung out with all of them. And so I was like very off put by that. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. So after that, I like stopped responding a little bit. And then I kind of was just like, I let him down easy. I was like, hey, I'm just like not interested, especially after that whole ordeal of you being like a toxic, crazy person. I think he was like drunk one night and he was like going off, texting million times. And I'm just like, that is too fucking much. We are not together. Like, I mean, even if we were together, I still would consider that red flag behavior because please, like, why are you being toxic like that and texting me 100 times with no response? And then I kept seeing him out and like he would Snapchat me while I was out and he was at the same bar as me and be like, you still hate me, or like, can I please see you, and like weird shit like that. And I'd be like, dude, at this point this is like harassment, like I'm scared. And then he kept going and going, and like every couple days I would get a text, so am I out of the doghouse yet? Will you please like hang out with me? Are you gonna give me a chance? I'm like, dude, I actually would rather chop off my left arm with like a spoon at this point than ever give you a chance, because the behavior that you're showing me is extremely scary and obsessive, and you don't even know me. So like, how could you even be so obsessed with me when I met you once? You barely even know who I am. So weird. But anyways, some of the relevant comments that are included says, not the asshole, but your friend obviously is. Setting someone up with someone who rejected that person is cruel. Not the fact that you turned around. I would honestly have done the same. OOP said, I feel pretty shitty about it though. Regardless of my opinion on Jane, that must have stung. I mean, yeah, I'm sure that would have stung. I'm sure that sucks for Jane, but she kind of asked for it. Like, what is she expecting? For you to just like sit there and act like you want to be on that date with her? I think that would have been doing more of a disservice than just walking away. And honestly, like, good on you for not saying anything or being like, what the fuck is this about? This is so fucked up. Because I feel like if that were me, I probably would have been like, wait, what the hell is going on? Like, this is so creepy. Okay, someone said, not the asshole. You've made your feelings more than clear to Jane and your friend as well. You had every right to leave, as you had already rejected her 3 times, and still she set herself up for rejection number 4. You're not responsible for her feelings at this point. Your friend should have known better than to blindside you with a date with someone he knows full well you have zero interest in. Though, if I might venture a guess, I'd say that the double date was 100% Jane's and your friend's girlfriend's idea, and your friend most likely just got pressured into convincing you to come. And then OP said, even so, he is one of my best friends. He shouldn't be screwing me over like that, even if it was 100% their idea. I still blame Joe the most. If that were my friend, I would have been like, to my boyfriend, I would be like, no, we are not doing that. I'd be like, absolutely not. I'm not putting my friend in that position. That's so awkward. Not only am I not putting my friend in that position, but I'm not going to put myself in that awkward ass position either, because I'd rather not like be involved in that. And I also would be, if I were that girl, I would be telling Jane, like, let's go find someone else, because this guy's clearly like, I'd be like, he's not it. He ain't it. He's not your guy. Let's go find someone else. Like, I'll be your wing woman. Anyone but this guy, please. I mean, you're kind of a bad friend for not saying anything to her and like helping her out here, because that's crazy. Okay, update 2 months later. It has been a little under 2 months, and I have received quite a few requests to make an update over the past 9 or so weeks. Looking at you, Snoo Chipmunks 3950. At first, I was going to make one a week or 3 ago, but I decided against it. Instead, chose to wait till I had some proper updates. Well, here it goes. It turns out that some of the more pessimistic of you were right. Jane was being obsessive and stalkerish, and it sort of all came tumbling down on her at that point. A week or so after I made my post, she decided to message me. Well, it came down to her not understanding why I was showing interest in her, and then refused to date her. I never showed interest in her beyond basic friendliness. A wall of text dedicated to thrashing my previous relationships and calling them all sorts of names, specifically pointing out how I dated the wrong girls, and a weird rant about how everyone agreed me and her were meant to be, which just isn't the case. Like I said in my previous post, there is a running joke in our friend group about how weird she is. Now, you might think this is something that can be expected, something that just happens, an outlet for her of sorts, except she sent it from the wrong account. See, I had become internet friends with a person in the past month or two. Me and her would game together, chat from time to time, the usual organic internet friend situation, and the messages concerning our date were sent from this account. And it turns out she had literally used this alias to infiltrate my internet friend group and keep tabs on me of sorts. Obviously, this freaked me the F out. I took screenshots of what she had sent me and afterwards blocked all the accounts that I knew now she was using. I followed that up by sharing everything in our friend Discord and in our friend WhatsApp group, so everyone could see, which resulted in her being kicked from both. And I later got a call from Joe, full on apologetic, telling me he had no idea, and he knew he shouldn't have done it, but that his girlfriend was being pressured by Jane. Turned out, Jane had literally been bitching at her for months to arrange something like this, and she finally caved. Again, creepy stuff. I told him that I needed some time, as he really effed me over big time, and I didn't trust him anymore as a result. While Jane has been shunned by all of the friends, she still contacted me twice. Once to apologize, which quickly turned into weird shit where she started talking about us. She seems convinced that there is an us and that I'm interested, and another time just to curse at me, both from random accounts. I'm not sure where to go from here, and I'm still pretty shook up. Yeah, whoa. That really actually took a turn for the worst. I can't even imagine being in that headspace of obsession to the point where you get rejected multiple times by someone and then you continue on to make a fake alias. Oh, I mean, it's giving catfish. It is giving catfish. Honestly, Neve, where are you? Because this would be a perfect case for you to come dissect. I mean, he obviously figured it out himself, and she really ratted on herself by accidentally doing that. But thank God, because that's so creepy to be thinking that you're chatting with this internet person that you don't know, and lo and behold, it's this girl just plotting on you. She's fully plotting on you. No weird behavior. Okay, so Snoo Chipmunks was a person that said, I guess he commented on the previous. Oh, he had commented on the previous post and gave a long ass reply. Long. But some of the final comments, Snoo Chipmunks 3950 said, I knew it. I told you she turned into a stalker, using a fake alias and trying to keep tabs on you. I'm not surprised she did this. So Jane was bothering her friend for months. Then she badgered Joe into setting you guys up. So your friend Joe caved into his girlfriend like she did to Jane. Jane is persistent. When she wants something, she wants it. And she wants you. And she will stop at nothing to get it. By getting her best friend to set that double date up with you, it accomplished. It took months to set up, but eventually she got what she wanted. Now, as for Joe, he has at least apologized to you, but it's your choice if you believe him or not. If you accept it, but at least he acknowledges that he screwed up. But I don't blame you for not trusting him. It will take a long time for you to gain his trust back. But as long as he is with the girlfriend, I would not trust her. Now she calls and apologizes to you. I don't know on how to handle that one, but I'll be surprised if she did. This girl lives in a fantasy world. Just be careful and cut all contact. Tell her you will get a protective order or a restraining order against her if she keeps getting the creepy stalker way. And you would involve the cops. Be safe and watch your back. Ew, that's creepy. And then OOP said, they both apologized, like full on long ass apology via email, but I'm taking my distance from them. Low contact. I don't think I want friends that fuck me over like that. And as for a restraining order, I think it's pretty damn difficult to get one here. Isn't that the case, honestly, in every freaking aspect? It's so annoying. Okay, the top comment says, no means no, no matter who says it. No, but actually. Aussan said, if it reached the point in your friend group that it's a running joke that someone is clingy / a stalker, then maybe don't be friends with that person anymore. No, but actually, because how are you still friends with her? Like, if that were my friend, I would be like, girl. I mean, maybe I wouldn't know the extent of it. I'm not really sure, but I feel like maybe you probably would. If that's your boyfriend and that's his best friend, he's probably telling his best friend everything, so you would probably know. I'd be like, girl. I'd be going to my friend, like shaking her, like, girl, please, this is really creepy. It's not a good look. You look like a stalker. At that point, I'm sorry, like, I'm going to be so honest, because that's just like, I don't want to be friends with a stalker, because I don't want to be stalked either. And I could imagine like putting myself in his shoes and feeling very creeped out, grossed out, especially like as a woman. Yeah, I can imagine how scary it would be to be stalked. I would literally be crying. I mean, I literally wake up in the middle of the night and think that I'm being stalked, regardless, even if I'm not being stalked. I always am so scared and on edge about everything. So if I was actually being stalked, oh no, I would have to lock myself away. All right, we're going to move on to the next story. And the title is, am I overreacting for refusing to let my fiance's aunt see our newborn baby until she apologized for unsolicited jokes? My fiance, 26 male, and I, 24 female, just recently had our first child. This has been a pretty big deal for us since I had a major pregnancy loss with our daughter in 2024. A couple days ago, my fiance's aunt flew in from out of town to congratulate us and meet our son. When she got to our house, she kept making unsolicited jokes about this baby and my loss last year. My fiance had told her multiple times to stop and got very serious about it. She, however, still refused to apologize to either of us and continued making jokes. I eventually told his aunt that I'm not going to allow her to see the baby anymore until she apologizes and proves to the both of us that she can be a mature adult. I made it very clear to her that I don't need empathy. I don't need her to support either of us through this, nor do I even need her to give us any grievances. All I need from her is to be excited for us in the present moment, not to compare it to the past. Edit, she got very angry when I told her this and yelled at us for being unfair and claimed we're taking her away from her own family. Am I overreacting? No, my fiance is in agreement with me and is backing me up on this 100%. He agrees that her words, actions, and levels of immaturity are unacceptable. If I have to say one thing, it's that I don't think she deserves forgiveness at all. I think once you make a joke about someone losing a child, and just period, once you make, like, there's no jokes. That's not a joke. That's actually fucking insane. You're done. You're done. You're out the door and you're never coming back. I'm not even going to say all these stipulations that could get you to be welcomed back into my home, because there's no way that I want someone like that around me, my child, my fiance, like anyone. I don't want that energy around me. And until I could see, like, this is the one stipulation. You can have multiple years to figure your shit out. And if you grow in a few years, then maybe I'll give you a chance to be back into our lives again. But I don't think there's anything. Like, I shouldn't have to convince you to be a good person. I shouldn't have to convince you to not make a joke about a pregnancy loss. Even if you've never experienced one, I've never experienced that. And I know damn well that I would never even bring that up. I would never even be like, hey, can we talk about this as not a joke? Because that's something that is just so personal and obviously so sad. And I cannot even imagine bringing that up in general, let alone trying to make jokes about it. That's just disgusting behavior. Some of OOP's comments, someone said, absolutely not the asshole and lock your doors. P.S. Massive congratulations. OOP said, thank you for the congrats. I'm cherishing these newborn cuddles for sure. And then someone said, honestly, I would have told her to leave and put her out on the street to find her own way around and her own accommodation. You have a hell of a lot of patience. I would have given her a swift kick in the rear after she was warned the first time. OOP said, if my baby wasn't right there in my arms, we would have yelled back at her. Our son was getting fed, so there was only so much we could do to remove him from her yelling, so I had to remove myself from the room as a whole. If it wasn't for our newborn being right there, our patience levels would not have been as stable. And then Fun Professional said, she effed around and found out, your baby, your rules. And she's an asshole for making jokes about the loss of a child, and an even bigger asshole for continuing when you've both asked her to stop. Stick to your rules. And then Sweet Permission? Guys, I don't know. I've lost a child. She was 6. People who said shitty things then are still not in my life over 8 years later. That's the kind of energy that I would be giving in this situation. Okay, update the next day. I'm not sure if anyone wanted an update, but here it is. Please keep in mind that although I posted just last night, this situation happened multiple days ago. My fiance's aunt is currently staying with his parents. Earlier today, my fiance went over to talk to her about it. I stayed home by choice, for what I feel are pretty obvious reasons. He went over and explained to her that we're cutting all contact with her. She's not invited to our wedding. She will never see our son again, etc. He told her that she crossed the line and that because of her actions, if we did receive an apology, we would have a hard time believing her apology was sincere. Obviously, much more was said, but I'm just giving a more general overview. The part that threw me off even more was the fact that she never even told his parents what happened. His parents were shocked and flipped out on her. They told her that her options were to go stay at a hotel and experience this area by herself, or to get a ticket to fly back home. None of my fiance's immediate family, his parents and 2 younger sisters, have turned on or blamed me. I'm so lucky and thankful to have my fiance, as well as most of his family in my life. Thank you for reading this and for the input. Oh my gosh. Well, thank God we actually have a fucking man that sticks up for his fiance or his wife or his partner, because so many times in these stories we always see that they are just like folding for their family members, and they're just like, well, she didn't mean it like that. It's okay. We can forgive her, right? Like, or just completely ignoring it and being like, well, that's between you guys. That's between you as women to deal with. I feel like that happens in every story. We rarely ever see like someone sticking up for their partner like this. I mean, a man sticking up for their partner, honestly. And I'm not saying that it never happens, but I'm just saying in a lot of these Reddit stories, they be having me lose more hope in men as a whole, because it's crazy. I swear to God, it's like, no, you actually should be sticking up for her. That's crazy work, especially because she just had a child as well. That's just like another thing on top of it. Even if she didn't, you should still be like together as a team, as a unit, and sticking up for her. But even more so that she had a newborn and she's like in postpartum now. Okay. Lucy said, honestly, I thought it was refreshing to have the rest of the family on the OOP's side for once. None of that, these people are blowing up my phone. Just the family rallying and saying to hell with that behavior. Celtic Fire said, she's the fiance's aunt, so she's the sibling of one of the parents. That means she was not only saying cruel jokes about OOP and her fiance's lost baby, but also saying cruel jokes about her sibling's lost grandchild. Imagine finding out your sister you trusted and loved apparently found the tragic loss of your grandchild funny. Alien Rosie said this, OP and her fiance weren't the only ones mourning the loss of the baby. Who the hell makes jokes about something like that and then doubles down when asked to stop? People can be so gross. It's just crazy that someone could have such no self-awareness at that point you have zero self-awareness, because how could you ever? I wouldn't even make that joke in private. I wouldn't make a joke about that in private. That's fucked up. I don't see any joke about that being funny ever. We're going to move on to the next story, and it's titled, I, 31 male, found out my wife, 30 female, has been getting a coworker, 29 female, to spy on me at work. We've been married for 5 years and together for 8. Not really great at writing, so apologies in advance. I'll try to include as much info as I think is relevant, but please feel free to ask me more in the comments if I wasn't clear about something. My wife has been jealous of a coworker at my job for some time now. Her name is Heather, and she's in her early 20s. Tall, pretty. Just observations as I have a pair of eyes. Heather is nice, but I don't go out of my way to talk to her. We worked together on a project about 8 months ago, which is when this seems to have started. Heather, 3 other coworkers, and I were assigned to this project, and so for a good month we spent much time together at work. My wife saw her one day when we're all coming out, and she was picking me up to go to dinner at my parents'. She immediately asked who she was and if she worked at my job. I told her she was new and was put on our project. For the entire duration of the project, my wife was in a bad mood almost every day and would take every opportunity to tear Heather down, saying she was lanky or her nose was crooked or whatever. She's insecure about her height because she's 5'4" and not a 6-foot tall glamazon. I love my wife's height and her petite figure and tell her this every day. She is extremely gorgeous and turns heads whenever we walk downtown. But when she saw Heather was tall and not ugly, she was convinced that I thought she was hot. I kept telling her she was just a colleague and that I had no interest in her. Regardless, she would greet her coldly or not at all if she saw my colleagues. Our home and jobs are located downtown, so we usually walk to meet up with each other after work. My wife would start dressing up a lot more than usual when she would come to meet me and make a big show of jumping on me and stuff. She works at a very nice bakery and usually brings leftovers from work for us or people at my job. She always gave things out to everyone except for Heather. Eventually, Heather picked up on the hostility and approached me to ask about why my wife was acting that way. I simply told her I didn't know. Maybe because she didn't know her as long as the other colleagues, she was distant. She seemed to accept that, but would no longer leave at the same time as everyone else and would either go early or hang back. Brian, another coworker, approached me on Friday and asked to talk to me privately. He told me he had been at lunch with Kate, the coworker in question, and she had gone to pay for the food. She left her phone on the table. It lit up with a text, and he saw it was from Valerie, my wife's name. The text basically said, "Did you see him talking to her today? What did he say?" Then, "Do you think Heather is going to stay at that job long?" When Kate came back to the table, he asked her if that was Valerie, as in my wife. She got a deer in headlights look and said, quote, "Oh, yeah, we text sometimes. We're friends." He said he thought it was weird because she put her phone in her purse without even checking the messages he had asked about and wanted to go. I went home and I snooped on my wife's phone. I know it was wrong, but I had a feeling that if I had asked her, she would deny it or become defensive and not show me the phone. There were weeks worth of texts that basically were little reports on what went on at work. If Heather talked to me, what we talked about. Did she hug me goodbye? Did she touch me at all? Did I laugh at her jokes? Did the guys think she was hot? Did I join in with them? Did I look like I was flirting? Kate was also apparently talking up Valerie at work to Heather. She made sure to mention often that we were married, how great Valerie was, how long we'd been together. I even read one that said, quote, "I told her Val works in a bakery. I bet if anyone tried to steal her husband, she'd just chop them up and bake them into a pie. Haha." Which was pretty fucking creepy. A lot of things started coming together then. Heather was much more distant lately. She seemed hesitant to say bye at the end of the day. We used to talk casually like everyone else at work, but now she would just say hi and bye mostly. I've been sitting on this information all weekend. Today at work, I could hardly look at Heather for the shame of it, and I couldn't look at Kate for my disgust. I haven't been able to approach my wife about this because I just don't know how or what to say. I feel frustrated and very much weirded out. I feel gross too. Like I've had my every move watched without knowing it. And as if just talking to a coworker is doing something wrong. I haven't talked to anyone else about this. Not even Brian, who first mentioned it. I don't know what to do from here. I don't even know what this means for our relationship. It feels like something big has changed because I haven't been able to look at her the same way, and all of my interactions with her since Friday have been kind of forced and faked. I need to talk to her and figure out what to do. Any advice would be appreciated. I feel very lost right now. First things first is obviously communication is key in a relationship, especially since you guys have been married for so long. Like, you should feel comfortable being like, if you don't feel comfortable having a mature conversation with your partner, something is wrong there, because you should always feel comfortable to have a mature conversation and bring up something with your partner and not have to worry about it like blowing out of proportion or them getting super mad or like just be scared to bring up something. I think it's so important. And not to say that like people make mistakes obviously and get mad at things. I can't say that I've never gotten mad at something that like maybe or defensive, but like usually I can look at that situation with my partner and be like, why did I like get upset about that? And why did I turn it into something that it wasn't? Because I'm defensive about it, because I know that that was true and that's something that I need to work on. And that's usually how I end up looking at myself in the mirror and being like, girly, you got to get a grip, okay? But this situation, personally, I would talk to her, and I don't know, in the nicest way possible, she needs therapy. She's very insecure, like so insecure. And that's really, like, that sucks. That's really sad. Obviously, everyone experiences insecurity, but to this point, it's very much overdone. It's OD. It's a little bit scary, because now you're being watched at work. Like, you don't feel comfortable. You can't talk to your coworker, even though you've given no signs that you are interested in this coworker. Like, I would understand if she saw you guys like being weird together, and then from there she started getting freaked out and like overbearing. That would make sense. But from this story, I don't see any reason why she needs to be acting the way that she is. And also, this poor girl, just because she's pretty and tall, is getting shat on, and she has to like go out of her way now to not be in the mix anymore, or like she has to leave early or leave later, and like she can't even walk out with her coworkers anymore because she's fucking scared of this woman. That's a terrible feeling. Like, you don't want to have to feel like that. So that's another thing that would just like it would be very much a turn off for me, because you're being mean to this person for no reason, for solely just because they look the way that they look. Like, that's not her fault. She can't help that. And also, this is always something that I definitely struggled with a lot at one point in my life, but like someone else's beauty is not the absence of your own or the lack of your own. Like, you can be beautiful and they can also be beautiful. Multiple people can be beautiful at once. Everyone can be beautiful. There's room for everyone. You know, like, that doesn't mean that you're not pretty just because this other person's really pretty. And maybe they're thinking the same about you. Like, honestly, I've found that there are times where I like find someone so pretty. Like, for example, one specific situation, I think it was like a year ago, my friend told me that like in college, like a long time ago, her friend that I wasn't really friends with, but like I would hang out with her sometimes and they'd be together because they were roommates. So we weren't like good friends, but we would, you know, whatever. We were acquaintances. And I always thought she was very pretty, like very pretty. I never compared myself to her personally. There are people that I compare myself to, and it's not that like she wasn't pretty enough for me to compare myself to. I don't know. I just didn't compare myself to her, but I always thought like, whoa, she is so beautiful. Like, she is very pretty person. And that was like years ago. That was like 2017. And like last year, my friend told me that one time when we were meeting, her friend's new talking stage out at a bar, she was like talking to my friend saying, oh my God, like, is he gonna think that she is so much prettier than me? Like, I'm scared for her to come because what if he's wants her more about me? And I was like, wait, what? She thought that? Like, I would never have guessed. And that's crazy because I would never have been like, I would never have thought that she would be comparing herself to me because she was so pretty, if that makes sense, you know? Like, I would have never been like, she's probably thinks that, like, this man wants me. Ever in a million years, I didn't think that. I was like, that girl's so pretty. Like, honestly, I was like, that man is not good enough for her. Like, she's definitely way too good for him. She's out of his league. He is punching. But yeah, I just found that so interesting because you never know what other people are thinking. Like, you guys could be thinking the same things about each other. You could be jealous of her and she could be jealous of you back. And you guys are just in your heads about it. And you're like, oh my God, this girl's so pretty. She's so much prettier than me. And then she's out here thinking, this girl's so pretty. She's so much prettier than me. Obviously, looks are not everything. But in this scenario, yeah, someone else's beauty is not the lack of yours. So... okay, relevant comments. Spock Eyebrow said, this is couples counseling time. Hardcore. She, your wife, has totally broken your trust and is treating you like a criminal. She's being mean, disrespectful, sneaky, and just an all-around jerk. Kate should also be seriously ashamed of herself. I don't know, man. If it were me, I would talk to my wife, insist on counseling, but if she refuses to go or causes a huge stink, I would rethink the marriage. I might even report Kate to HR for unprofessional conduct and creating a hostile work environment. OOP said, going to bring up counseling today and when I get home from work and talk to her about this. Good. You should be absolutely doing that. I guess that's a good way to suggest counseling is like saying we should go together. Because for me, I was like, girl, you need counseling. That's what I was thinking. I was like, girl, you need to get counseling. And not in a bad way. Counseling is amazing. I went to counseling for many years. But I was just like, I think this is a you problem and not a we problem. But that is a good, like, nice way to bring it up, to be like, we should go to couples counseling together. And then maybe your couples counselor will suggest individual counseling so you don't have to. Okay. Let's read the update. There's only one update, and it's 2 days later. First off, I would like to thank everyone for their responses and for taking the time to give me advice. On to the update. I took the general advice and confronted Valerie and used therapy as a non-negotiable term. So Tuesday, when I posted, I saw Kate at work and bluntly said, quote, you don't need to report on me today or any day after this. I'll be talking to my wife after I'm done today. She got this blank look on her face and said she didn't know what I meant, but I noticed her hanging around significantly less than usual after that. I did my best to focus on work, but I asked to go home early because it was just impossible with everything looming ahead for me to concentrate. I went home and texted my wife that I was home early and I needed to talk to her when she was done at work, so to please come home right away. I got a bunch of, what's going on? What's wrong? Texts, but I just kept telling her I would talk to her at home. She got home and I got into it right away. I told her I knew about the texts with Kate, about the spying, the harassment of Heather. She was mad at first and kept adamantly saying she did nothing wrong, and if I had nothing to hide, then why did it matter? I told her to please not play me for a fool, and I outlined all the things her behavior meant, like lack of trust and sheer vindictiveness. I brought up the consequences, like my damaged trust and drama in the workplace. I also brought up how my job could be at risk because of this. She made a point to say they couldn't fire me without also removing Heather, as she'd say she was being inappropriate towards a married man in the workplace, and Kate would back her up. That brought us to a heated argument, and it ended with her crying and me yelling. She started asking, quote, who the F is Heather to you that you give so much of a shit anyway? And derailed into this whole thing about me caring too much about someone I claimed meant nothing to me. I don't want to get into too much detail because this would be extremely long, but the conversation was a good 5 to 6 hours long. It ended with her agreeing to go to couples counseling and individual if the couples therapist so deemed it. She apologized to me a lot and admitted she had been acting out of jealousy and anger towards Heather. She asked if I wanted her to apologize to Heather in person, but I said no. I didn't want there to be more drama. I watched as she texted Kate and told her to stop and that she was sorry for dragging her into it. She gave me the password to her phone for transparency. But I told her it was pointless, as if she really wanted to continue, she could just delete the texts before I saw them or change the name or whatever. I told her I expected her to keep her word to stop, because if I got any indication that this was still going on after our talk, that I would separate from her and file for divorce. Yesterday morning, things seemed a little bit tense, but it was to be expected. She still kissed me before going to work, and we had our normal text conversation on our commute. I get to work and Kate apologizes to me and I accept it, but tell her our work relationship from here on out is forever changed and there's no going back from it. I tell her that beyond work conversation, we have nothing else to talk about. She accepted it and went on to start the day. Lunch rolls in. I ask Brian if he'll let me buy him lunch and thank him for telling me. We go to have lunch and he asks me if I've heard Heather put in her request for a transfer. Apparently on Tuesday when I left early, Heather asked why I wasn't at my desk because she had brought over the week's project booklet and had seen me there earlier. Kate, of all people, told her I had gone home to deal with personal issues. When Heather asked if everything was all right, Kate told her that she hoped so because, quote, I don't want to see someone come between Valerie and OP's marriage. There must have been a bit more to the exchange because Heather went all the way up to our boss's boss and asked for a transfer to a different department. I feel extremely embarrassed because without a doubt, I feel like that guy now in the office. I know Brian isn't a gossip, but of course people will ask why Heather transferred, and without a doubt, it will eventually get out. People who used to talk to me casually probably will stop. The women of the office will feel as if they need to keep their distance. And I feel so ashamed that I can't even approach Heather to apologize for the stress this must have caused her. I doubt she would even want to see my face at this point. So yes, wife has agreed to counseling both couples and individual, apologized to me, all of those things. But the damage is now done, and I feel like complete shit about work now. I guess I shouldn't have been so naive to think that just fixing this with my wife would make everything else go away. Anyway, thank you for all of the advice. I was feeling very at sea before writing that post. I still feel a bit lost as far as how to deal with all the fallout of all of this, but at least I have one part of it sorted or on its way to being sorted out. So that's a positive. Well, that's good, but also too little too late as well, because this poor girl just had to transfer out of this. I actually feel so bad for her. That sucks. That sucks to feel alienated, especially when your job, you're there all day, 5 days a week. Like, that must be a shitty feeling because you're going home from your job. You're probably stressing about going to work the next day because you're like, oh, I have to deal with these people that like are for no reason being extremely hostile towards me. Like, what the hell did I do? I'd be so stressed and upset about that. The top comment says, what frustrates me the most about this is that Heather ended up transferring, because even though OOP's wife did all these horrible things, at the end of it all, she suffers no real consequences and she got what she wanted. Heather no longer being OOP's coworker. I'm not saying Heather shouldn't have transferred because obviously she has to take care of herself. I'm just saying that it sucks and that I wish there was justice. And then Ocean Swims responded and said, I feel like Heather may even suspect OOP had feelings for her, though he obviously didn't, because why else would his wife do all of that? So it's no wonder Heather transferred to get away from him and his wife. I wish OOP and Heather had talked about it after she requested a transfer, just so that she can be assured he didn't do anything, didn't know about the wife and Kate, and he wishes her well in her new department. I guess life never really lets us tie things up in a neat bow, though. I still feel like if I were him, I would want to talk to him. Or her, I mean. Like, if I were him, I would be like, I feel so bad. And I want to make sure that, she knows she's absolutely not at fault for this. And, that I'm so sorry she felt the need to transfer because of what my wife and her friend at my work did. Because that's just absolutely awful. I can only imagine, if I noticed that my boyfriend was bullying someone, like a man that I was working with or something, I would be so, well, first of all, he would never, he's actually like a little ladybug. Like he would never, ever. I can't even imagine him ever bullying a singular person. Like that would be, I would have to take him to the doctor, because I would think he had like a brain tumor that was affecting his brain or something, because that's just so not like him. Say he was, I would immediately have gone to him and been like, this is not okay. You cannot behave that way again. And if you do, there's going to be severe consequences, because that's not okay to make someone feel like that in general, but also someone that I'm working with and a man that shows no threat to you. Like this is just a man that I'm working with and I have to work with. Like you got to get over it. You cannot be treating people like that. Like that'd just be crazy. But I'm glad that I guess it kind of got figured out. I don't know. I hope Heather's doing okay, honestly, because I mean, that's just a shitty situation to be in. So I wish the best. I wish the best for Heather. And also, like, I do feel bad for the wife. Although she's being like a see you next Tuesday kind of. I still feel bad for her, because clearly that reflects a lot more on her than it does on Heather. Like being so insecure that you feel the need to act that way towards someone is clearly just a reflection of your own inner battles. And I'm sure she doesn't want to feel like that. Like she can't control that she feels that way. I mean, of course she can take responsibility and think that, hey, I should probably get help. If I'm thinking this much into it and I'm this jealous, I should probably go do something about it, because it's so unhealthy to be that obsessively jealous. But it happens, and that's a sucky ass feeling, but you can't be taking that out on the person that did absolutely nothing. So be kind, guys. Seriously, be kind. But yeah, those are all the stories for today, and let me know what you thought about them. I'm sweating my actual DICK off right now because I'm wearing a sweater, first of all. I'm always wearing a sweater, though. Like, I think in most of the videos I'm wearing a sweater. Someone commented on my video and was like, can I ask, which obviously no shade, love you, but they were asking like, it's July, why are you wearing a sweater? And I'm like, well, first of all, I'm in my house. It's not July in my house. It's like 70 degrees in my house. And I get cold really easily. And also, period, I just wear sweaters all the time. Like, even if it's 100 degrees outside, I'm wearing a sweater. I just feel more comfortable in a sweater. I don't know. I like my body being covered for the most part. Like at the gym, obviously, I wear gym clothes like a tank top and shorts and stuff. But for the most part, I like my body being covered so that I can just be doing whatever. I don't know. Even just by myself. Like, I just like it being covered. I just feel more comfortable that way. So, yeah. But let me know what you thought about those stories. And I love you guys. And I'll talk to you in the next episode. Bye. Toodaloo.
If you want extra content weekly, head over to patreon.com/storytimesociety and become a member on there for extra content. Love you.
Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.